Hey y'all, it's Megan from Made for Mermaids, and today we are working on our Loren teddy. This is the lined version that I'm going to be sewing. If you're sewing the lace version, I'll link it down below. You're going to need to cut one front on the fold, one back on the fold. The back has either the thong or cheeky line. Then you're going to need one lining if you're adding that. You're going to cut either 2 straps on the fold, or you're going to cut 4 straps not on the fold, depending on your size. And then you're going to cut 2 main side cups and 2 lining side cups, then 2 main center cups and 2 lining center cups. And then you also need your leg elastic and your waist elastic, and then some hook and eye tape if you're adding that. Okay, the first step is the straps. If you cut 4 straps, you're going to place 2 together on the short end and stitch them together so you have one long length, and then you're going to do the same with the other 2. So stitch 2 together and then stitch the other 2 together, and you'll also have 2. Then if you cut yours on the fold, and after you stitch them, if you cut 4, you're going to press a 1/4 inch to the wrong side on one short end like that, just creating a memory press. Then we're going to fold it in half with the right sides together, and you're going to stitch all the way down the long edge with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so it's all sewn, and you're going to use a safety pin or your favorite turning tool and flip it right sides out. So it's all flipped. It is freezing today. It's like, feels like 11, which for Texas is really cold. So it took me a while. My hands are freezing to turn that. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take that seam and you're going to center it. And you can press this with your iron so the seam stays centered. And then you're going to fold that 1/4 inch that we created a memory press back towards the wrong side. And after I press this, I'm going to stitch this in close, and we'll move on to the bodice. So the strap is complete, the end is all stitched, and it's pressed so you can move it aside while we work on our cups. You're going to take one side cup and one center cup, and you're going to put them right sides together along the curved edge, aligning the little marks in the center and the little edges like this, and you're going to stitch along the curved edge with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And after you're done with that, you're going to press the seam towards the side cup, and you're going to top stitch it like that, like I've done with the lining piece. And then you're going to do the same thing with the lining pieces and the other cup. So I'm going to stitch this one real quick, and I'll be right back. Now the cups are sewn and top stitched, and it's time to add our strap piece. So this is my main cup, laying right side up, and you're going to take your strap, the unsewn open end, and laying it right side down so the seam should be up. You're gonna center it on your pickup, and you can base this here with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, or you can go ahead and do that in the next step, which is usually what I do. You're gonna take your lining cup and you're gonna put it right sides together with the wrong side up, and you're gonna align all these raw edges. And we're going to stitch with a 1/2 inch seam allowance on the side, the top, and the other side, leaving the bottom open. So you'll stitch this with a 1/2 inch seam allowance and then flip it right side out. So it's all stitched, and then you're going to just flip it right sides out, and you can press this with your iron. And if you would like to, you can go ahead and top stitch around that seam so your lining doesn't peek out like that. And so you'll repeat that same process with the other cup, and then we can go ahead and move on to the bottoms. I'm going to lay my back piece flat with the wrong side up. You just need that bottom piece. And with my liner, I have already finished this top edge. You can do that with a serger. Oh, I just realized I finished the wrong edge, so I'm going to finish it again. But I'm going to do the same thing. You've finished the top edge. I was thinking this was a cheeky one. And then you're going to lay your liner flat, but you can finish this with a zigzag or a serger or overcast stitch, any of those. You're going to lay your liner flat, and you're just going to baste it on the sides. This will get sewn in later with the elastic. I'm going to pretend we did that, and I'm going to move on to the side seam. So you're just going to lay your front and back pieces together with the right sides, aligning the raw edges, and we're going to stitch the side seams here with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. The side seams are all sewn, and I went ahead and finished the correct side of the liner and basted it in place. Now it's time to add the elastic to the leg line. So I'm just kind of folding this in half, so hopefully you can see how we're going to finish this. So you're going to take your picot elastic, and along the front you're going to pin the elastic about 1 to 1. If you need like a detailed video on how to sew this elastic, I'm going to link it down below. So on the front, till you get to the side seam, it's going to be 1 to 1. And then along the back, all the way to about 1 inch above the liner. So just a little bit above the liner is also going to be 1 to 1. And then you're going to stretch it on this back edge, just right here. This is just so it stays nicely on the booty. Now you don't have to pin this, you can just take it straight to your machine, and know that on the front and on the edge, on the liner, you're not going to be stretching, and then along the back, you are going to be stretching a little bit. Okay. So where the red clips are where it's stretched, and then where these ones are They are not stretched. So I'm gonna go ahead and go finish both leg lines, and then we'll be back to finish the bottoms. The leg line is all finished on both sides. Now the next step is when you would add your hook and eye tape. So this is really simple, and if you want a video, I'm gonna link it below. I show how to do it on the cheeky lace version, but you just take your hook tape and cut it to fit the front, then fold the hook side on the front and stitch it. Same thing on the back. Add the hook tape to the back and top stitch it. If you don't have this on hand or you don't want to add it, then you would just put the front and back crotch right sides together, like this, and stitch with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So that's what I'm gonna do on this one. But I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next step, which is adding the bodice tops to the bottom. So you can see on your pieces that there is a notch on the bottom of your side cup, and there's also notches on your bottom front. Real quick, I'm gonna find the center of the front bottoms by just folding them in half. I usually actually just cut a notch when I'm cutting, but forgot to do that. Okay. So you're going to put the right sides together, and you're gonna match this notch, the side cup notch, to the bottom notch, and then the centers of the bodices should meet right in the center front. I'm doing the same thing with this cup. Matching the notches, the center fronts. So the two center bodices should be meeting. They should meet and be touching but not overlapping, just touching. And then pin here, like that. Now this should all fit perfectly. If you cut or sewed a little bit wonky and it's not fitting, just make sure the two front centers are meeting, match your notches, and then you can kind of ease in the rest to make it fit. But now you're going to baste this together with just a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So baste the tops to the front bottoms, and then we just need to add our elastic. So after this is basted, you're gonna take your elastic, make sure that you exercise it a lot before cutting it. And I like to use clear elastic, but you can also use knit elastic. The clear is obviously a little bit thinner and I think just more comfortable. So after you baste this, you're then gonna attach your elastic to the waistline, and it should fit 1-to-1, so it should fit exactly the same. And you're gonna stitch it. This is 3/8 inch elastic, and you're gonna stitch it with a 3/8 inch seam allowance, so it should be right at the edge of the elastic. You're gonna stitch it on. And I always like to use my sewing machine for this, because obviously if you serge it, it's just gonna serge all the elastic off. So just with the edge and a zigzag stitch, I'm gonna stitch the elastic on the waist. So the elastic is all stitched on. And now you're gonna pull the bodice up, which flips that elastic to the wrong side, and you're gonna flip the back elastic also to the wrong side, and then we're just gonna top stitch on the edge of the elastic to hold it in place, and your teddy's complete. So you're just flipping this to the wrong side, and you want to make sure to top stitch on this edge. so it doesn't move around or hold it in place. So this unstitched edge is where we're going to top stitch it. Then the elastic is all sewn, so it's stitched on both sides, and your teddy is all complete. So you have these really long ties, and you can kind of do whatever you want with them. Crisscross them, wrap them around your waist, twist them down your back. So this is the thong, and then it also has a lace option and a cheeky back. And you can see this one has the hook and eye tape. If you make one, we would love to see it, as always, in our Facebook group, or tag us on Instagram. If you have any questions, you can leave them down below and I'll try to get to them. We do have some fun hacks on the blog for this, adding some crisscross straps, making it in swim, and then mashing it for a romper. I'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.